Kunja Vihare Gopi Jana Balabha Girivardhari Gopi Jana Balabha Girivardhari Yasodanandana Brajajanarandana Yasodanandana Brajajanarandana Yamunatira Vanachadi Yamunatira Vanachadi Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Pariviragacharya Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Ananta Koti Vaishnavrinda Ki Shri Shri Kishore Kishori Ki Gopimanandi. Let's see here. I'll join Sundari Radha for welcoming all of you to Kishore Kishori Mandir, and especially Dravida Prabhu. Chicago isn't known for its balmy weather, and Southern California is. He had his hood on and it's cold. So austerity is part of our life of devotion to Krishna, so thank you. Thank you very much. The theme of our gathering is using prayer to deepen our bhakti, using prayer to deepen our bhakti. Our word crafter Dravida came up with the title. And for those of you that were not with us yesterday, or for those of you that were with us yesterday, a little review. The starting topic was chanting Hare Krishna prayerfully. So this is a continuation of that by design. And something that I learned in the first few days that I was living in the Hare Krishna temple was some really good advice. And what we're doing right now is following that same good advice. During my college period, searching for absolute reality, I didn't know what to call it, but truth, you know, like what's really real, what's really important, who am I, and all those fundamental questions generally we're too busy to ask. One of the inspirations was maybe it's inside and I can discover through a creative process, because I didn't know about disciplic succession or anything like that. Just wanted to discover what my deepest convictions are, deep inside. What's that? So I thought creative process might bring it out. Around the same time, I had a professor who I developed a relationship, a friendship with outside of the classroom, philosophy professor, who, he didn't announce himself this way, but he was a Taoist. And one of the things that he did was he wrote poetry. And from time to time, when we would hang out together, he would share with me his poetry. And so I thought, hey, poetry, maybe that's part of a creative process to go inside, and maybe it'll come out that way. So I started writing poetry. Long story, make it short. I got this realization when I was attempting to get something published. You know, I don't know. There's lots of people out there that are presenting themselves as if they know, but they also don't know. And I'm not going to do the same thing. So I stopped that effort of having something published. It was a nice aha. And then I moved into a temple, the Boston Temple. And I was still, you know, like searching, because I wasn't like, this is it. It was, this makes a lot of sense. It resonates. I want to go more deeply, you know, deepen my bhakti and just find out more. Plunge in the pool and swim around and see what the water's like. A life of dedicated devotion to Krishna, following Srila Prabhupada. I had some feelings, but I wasn't like, this is it. So I was writing poetry one day, like, you know, and somebody tapped me on the shoulder and said, writing poetry is best by first hearing from those that are perfected souls, and how do perfected souls express themselves poetically. Not like, don't do it, shame on you, but just good advice. I understood this is good advice. And so that's what we're doing right now. We're going to hear from Rupa Goswami in his poetic expressions in Sanskrit and then translated, how to approach the holy name prayerfully from a perfected person. A little sharing, if you don't mind, from the experience recently in Puri. We'll speak a little bit more about it tonight, but I spent nearly a month absorbed, as they say in Long Island, absorbed in Lord Chaitanya's activities and mood and exchanges with his devotees in Puri. And one of those exchanges was this expression of his investing spiritual potency. One of the persons who he invested spiritual potency in fullness was to Rupa Goswami. Without reviewing, there's discussion in Chaitanya Charitamrita where he confirms twice, yes, I invested my fullness of spiritual potency in Rupa Goswami so that he could understand my mind, so that he could write literature. I've invested him with this spiritual potency. Now, how much potency is that? You got a scale? How can you measure how much potency? The fullness of Lord Chaitanya's mercy, and he is Mahavadanyaya, was invested in Rupa Goswami. So we're going to be hearing Rupa Goswami's illuminations in Namastaka, we'll hear one more also at the end, Vidagdha Madhava, and because we have in our presence one devotee who is, since, I don't know, how, 40 years plus, has been absorbed in sloka recitation, and not just recitation, absorption in the meaning and the mood, just as we heard yesterday. For those of you that were with us, it was enlivening, to say the least. So Dravid is going to recite the verses of these Namastaka, and then we'll one by one discuss them. I don't think we need to do it responsibly, just, yeah.
Nikila Shtuti Mauri Ratnamala Tutinira Chitapada Pankajanta Hai Mukta Kola Rupasyamanam Paritastvam Hadinama Sankshiyami.
Of the 8, this is maybe one of my 2 favorites, this particular verse. Oh, Harinam. The tips of the toes of your lotus feet are constantly being worshipped by the glowing radiance emanating from the string of gems known as the Upanishads, the crown jewels of all the Vedas. It's poetic, meaning there's it's metaphor, implying certain things. At the same time, it's literally literal. So rather than explaining, he's just putting in poetry that the tips of the toes of your lotus feet. Now, lotus feet means a person. It's implied. And the name is a person. We're going to hear further as we go along. Vacha and Vachaka. The name, same as this important verse from Padma Purana. Abhina Tvam Nama Namino. Nama and Nami. The name and the object named are non-different. So as Krishna is a person, the name is a person. And the name, just like the person, has feet. Just like Srimad Bhagavatam is Krishna in literary form, and he has 2 lotus feet. In that literary form, it's Canto 1, Canto 2. And the name, Krishna, has a form, and that form has feet. And there's tips of the toes of those feet. And the tips of the toes of those feet are worshipped. The tips of the toes of those feet are worshipped by the glowing radiance, not even yet the verses themselves, but the radiance, the glowing radiance of the crown jewels of all the Vedas. So what's all the Vedas? It's knowledge. Veda means knowledge. And the crown jewels, so I don't know so much about monarchy history, but the little bit that I understand is there's treasury, and within the treasury there's very, 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 very supermost special jewels in the treasury. Crown jewels. Not just what goes on there, but crown jewels. It's a phrase. Crown jewels. And those crown jewels are radiant. And as the Upanishads are the crown jewels of all the Vedas, the radiance emanating from them is worshipping the tips of the toes of the lotus feet of the holy name. Isn't that beautiful? Isn't that beautiful? We can learn a lot from the poetry of perfected souls. And then we can compose something, because just like Rupa Goswami, he was invested with spiritual potency in the fullness by Lord Chaitanya. Similarly, we heard yesterday, we're going to hear some more, Bhaktivinoda Thakur took the writings of Rupa Goswami in this Namastaka, and he wrote in Gitavali different verses that just are explaining the glories of the holy name. That's what great acharyas do. They're not go on a creative writing spree. They receive mercy from those who have received mercy from those who have received mercy, and they transmit it, they vibrate it in various forms. In case of Bhaktivinoda Thakur, in songs form or other forms, to transmit transparently the cyclic succession method the fullness of Lord Chaitanya's mercy and spiritual empowerment to Rupa Goswami. I think I'm emphasizing it because it's dramatic. Now here's and a little additional side point. Within this month of December, I learned something that it's a scientific something or other. I'll just share this with you. In the early 1900s, there was a scientist who dedicated 30 plus years to seeing what's the effect of sound on a scientific invention that he came up with, and I think it's called the tonoscope, something like that. And the principle is, he had this membrane, and he put powder on the membrane, and then he projected sound onto the membrane, so the membrane would vibrate and the powder would move from that sound. And what would happen with the powder? And in short, 30 years, statistically demonstrated, reproduced again and again, so it wasn't just like, a quirk, an anomaly. Material sound, randomness. Sanskrit sound, the sound manifested over a period of the powder organizing itself, representing the Devanagari letters. Yes. And he did it again and again. And then like Om, he got somebody that could pronounce Om properly, because some people don't. And the powder formed the Sanskrit letters or syllable, Om. What does that say? Sound has or is form. Sanskrit. Pretty cool, huh? It's not just, Padma Purana and your faith. Science says, aha! The best pramana is science, right? Our best pramana is scripture, and lo and behold, science confirms. Sure enough, scripture was right. Now, I'm not sure I have the name right, tonoscope. I don't have the information here, in front of me. You can look it up. You'll find it probably. Early, the 1900s, using technology as technology, he just had a fascination for sound and how sound effects matter. There's many such experiments, sound effects matter, but this is a very interesting one, specifically on our topic. Sanskrit sound has form. In contrast, material sound does not have the same scientific consequence. Random. Different languages, not just, I forget even what nationality is, but different languages were experimented with. It doesn't have the same. Material sound and spiritual sound are different, qualitatively. So the sound, Krishna, and the person, Krishna, as the person has form, the sound has form, and the sound has feet. And the feet have toes, and the toes have tips of their toes. And the crest jewels, crown jewels, crest jewels is another term, of the Vedas, knowledge, the radiance, worships the tips of the toes. That means you can't get any higher than that. The holy name. You, again addressing the person, the name, are eternally adored by liberated souls, such as Narada and Shukadev. It's a similar message as the Atmarama verse of the Bhagavatam. Atmarama verse, some of you are a little newer, you don't know what that is. It's a verse that Shukadev Goswami, although he was already Brahman realized, we'll hear about this in the next verse also, he was already Brahman realized. He realized, that the saying, in the final analysis, it's all one. So he was realized in the all one. And he abandoned the all one to study the Bhagavatam under his father. So the question was raised, whoa. He's already there. He's in this, it's all one space. Why did he do a timeout and study? He doesn't need to study anything. He's already there. And the answer is, even those that are already there, they're attracted to the all-attractive. Krishna. Later in the 12th canto Bhagavatam, the Ajita, the qualities and the pastimes of Ajita. Krishna is fully spiritual. And verification is, Shukadev Goswami, who is already there in Brahman realization, it's all one, he adores the name. He adores the Bhagavad. He has an interest in anything material. The message is, poetically, the name is all spiritual. Persons that have no interest in anything material, they're interested because it's not material. It's everything, as we heard from the Kevalastakam verses yesterday evening. It's everything. Harir Nam Eva Kevalam. Holy name is everything. And then the conclusion of this first verse, what do you do when you know that stuff? I take complete shelter of you. Dravida explained it very nicely. It is just repeating. When you, same as Bhagavad Gita, in the Chatur Sloki verses of Bhagavad Gita, when you know Krishna is the source of everything, what are you going to do with that? Well, that's nice information. Haribol. No, you take full shelter of him. Full shelter of him means service. Shelter means service to the name. Just the first verse, it's so beautiful. Packed with many things. So now let's go to the next one.
Jayanamade munivrinnagehe janaranjanaya paramoksharakrute tamanarada bimanagodiritam nikilogratapa patalim vilumpasi.
All glories unto you, O holy name. the sages, Muni is the word in Sanskrit, the sages have always sung hymns praising you, and you have now appeared in transcendental form. 2 verses in a row. Transcendental form of the supreme syllables for the pleasure of all humanity. Now we heard Dravida say, I heard him say at least twice, maybe 3 times, chanting prayerfully is not just meditating on a sound. It's meditating on a sound. But it's not just meditating on a sound, there's a mood. And the sound is a person. This is the emphasis in these first 2. The syllables are a person. And connecting with that person makes the person who is vibrating the sound and hearing the sound in the proper mood. Again, the theme of using prayer to deepen our bhakti. It awakens, it's meant to awaken our bhakti, the mood of shelter taking. And in that mood of shelter taking, it means service. In that mood of service, it's the highest pleasure, beyond anything of the senses, meeting sense objects, and dukkha instead of sukha. Beyond that happiness of a temporary sense engagement, singing songs. People in the material world, music's popular. Different modes of nature operating with those sounds that are popular. Mode of goodness seems to have evaporated, and now it's the other modes that are prevalent in music, and it affects consciousness. Sound affects consciousness. Lots of studies in that. It's practical experience also. But this spiritual sound, the syllables, the supreme syllables that are the form in which Krishna has appeared in this age, awakens ananda. Repeating some things that nice to reinforce the message from yesterday. I'm enjoying this. If one chants those syllables of the holy name, even indifferently, indirectly, jokingly, deceptively, excuse me, or slightly, you, again, person, destroy his most dreadful sinful reactions, thereby extinguishing all of his sufferings. Now, the conclusion is, therefore, you're always victorious. So just say 3 things. This is using prayer to deepen our bhakti. So embedded in this second half of the verse is a direct reference, without citing the verse, from 6th canto Bhagavatam, where Shukadeva Goswami is describing namabhas and different categories of namabhas in the Bhagavatam, and here they are. Actually, it's, anyway, Vishnu Dutta is describing, but Shukadeva Goswami is narrating. Even namabhas, in these indirect, unintentional methods, very powerful. What to speak of direct? What to speak of Shuddhanam? The holy name is very, very, very powerful and very merciful. Then, you destroy the most sinful reactions. We heard yesterday this nice description of the effects of chanting. Cheto darpana marjanam bhavamaha davagni nirvapana. So that's just, read carefully, I'm sure you do, read carefully Prabhupada's purport to chapter 6 of Bhagavad Gita, where he's describing samadhi, Krishna describes, Prabhupada explains, even in this namabhas stage of chanting, even in the, that's what we're doing, hopefully, namabhas stage of chanting, it's so powerful that all of material existence can be eliminated. Even in the namabhas stage, that is this bhava mahadavagni nirvapanam, that's just the namabhas stage. That's what this is saying. So, you know, not giving the philosophy, it's just a nice prayer. All of his sufferings. Then param vijayate Sri Krishna Sankirtanam. Although he's not, he's a follower of Lord Chaitanya. And as a follower of Lord Chaitanya, he's simply repeating in his own expressions, empowered to do so, the teachings of Lord Chaitanya. Param vijayate Sri Krishna Sankirtanam. That's what Rupa Goswami, that was one of the events where Lord Chaitanya disclosed, yes, it's true. I've given my full mercy, my full spiritual empowerment to Rupa Goswami because he understood something that nobody understood. The mood of Lord Chaitanya, the meaning of his words. He understands it, now he's giving it to us in this nice poetry. You want to be victorious? Chant the holy name. You want suffering to end? Even in the namabhas stage, chant the holy name. Well, wait a minute, my experience is I'm still suffering. Well, keep going. Keep going. Keep going with faith. So we heard yesterday, I'll repeat it, the Dravida Prabhu made reference to Bhakti Vikash Maharaj's book, the 3-volume book on Bhakti Siddhanta. And there's a section on Nama Mahima, the glories of the holy name. So anyone that's spent a little time knows, with prayer, from the Bhagavatam in particular, I'm thinking now, very common is this, the prelude of Mahima. Or let's just put it at the same principle. When the Bhagavatam teaches us, before you hear from a great soul, you offer words of appreciation of their great soul, because it opens the heart. So in approaching the holy name, it helps us to open the heart to receive, to deepen our bhakti. Prayerfully chanting the holy name is to understand the glories of the holy name. No, it doesn't guarantee anything. You can understand the glories and still not have any taste. That's also explained. But it sure helps to open the heart, to understand the glories, and that's what we're hearing. Pram vijayate Sri Krishna Sankirtanam. Next.
Yada bhaso pyudyan kabalita bhavadvanta vibhavo Disham tat bandhanam vidishti bhakti pranainim Janastasya datam jagadi bhagavan nama tarane kutite nirvaktum kahiyamahimanam prabhavati.
Translation. Oh, son of the holy name. Note, it's a metaphor. Son of the holy name. Even the dim light of your early dawn namabhas devours the power of the darkness of the material world and gives those who are blind to the truth the insight to follow the path of pure devotion to Krishna. Beautiful. What learned person in this world can possibly fully describe your transcendental glory? So this is still Mahima section, verse 3. Metaphor is the name. We've already heard twice is a person, and the person is effulgent. Krishna is effulgent. The whole spiritual world is the Brahma Jyoti. There's effulgence from Krishna and Krishna's abode and everything in Krishna's abode. The name is also effulgent, like the sun. And so when the sun appears in the early morning, like twilight, dawn, or namabhas, very powerful. The darkness of night is dispelled by the early morning rays. And this world is metaphorically dark and literally dark. Yes? Without the sun, the moon, and electricity, which is derived from the sun, dark. When Brahma was born, in all directions, it was darkness. There was no sun. It's a place of darkness, literally. But we need light to make a place of darkness so you can see what's what. Without light, you can't. So the name is likened here to the sun. And even in the beginning stages, this Namabhas stage, where we are, this darkness in the metaphorical, now, not just literal, but the place of darkness. Darkness means ignorance. Devotees who have listened to Prabhupada's teachings, what's the root cause of suffering? Ignorance. How are you going to get rid of ignorance? Knowledge. Read books. Good luck. Maybe you reach a wrong conclusion. At best you can reach the impersonal Brahman. We'll hear shortly what impersonal Brahman cannot do. But the holy name destroys this darkness. And that means also the suffering, but the ignorance of who we are and what's what to speak of the source of everything. The holy name alone. It stimulates the dormant consciousness of the soul. Much better than creative writing is the holy name. And the Mahima, the glories, are without limit. Who is that learned person who can reach the limit? Next.
Yam Brahma Sakshat Kriti Nishtayapi Vinashamayati Vananha Bogai Apati Namas Puranena Tatte Prarabdha Karmiti Varauti Vedaha.
Oh, holy name! The Vedas declare that although meditation on impersonal Brahman cannot bring freedom from past karma, your appearance from the tongue of your chanter at once makes all karma disappear. The path of liberation. Many people who wish, of those people who wish, moksha, they want freedom from the bondage of material entanglement. And they can come to this neutral state, but they can't go beyond the neutral state. And because they haven't gone beyond the neutral state, Bhagavatam teaches, they again fall down. Because the natural state of the soul hasn't been reached. But, even in the preliminary stages, one who takes to the chanting of the holy name, karma is dissolved. How merciful. Like, who is not going to do this? Stubborn people. Unfortunate people. Next.
Agadamana Yashoda Nandana Nandasuno Kamalanayana Gopi Chandra Vrindavanindra Panata Karuna Krishna Vityanika Swarupe Tvaimamata Duchaya Vadatam Namadeha.
Now this is taking us to another level. Rupa Goswami is just hold his lotus feet and he'll take us to another level. Oh, holy name, I pray that my love for you, this is not just appreciating the greatness and the glories and so forth. He's now requesting, it's a prayer request. Love, mature stage. Love for you, not just something abstract. Love for the name, because the name is the person with form, with tips of the toes of his lotus feet included. My love for you in your many forms, such as Agha, Dhammana. There he is. There's Agha in the, what happened here? Agha is the Aghasura demon, and Krishna, Dhammana, he crushed Agha. Yasoda Nandana. These are primary names. Primary names means, according to Haridas Thakur, names that have the potency of carrying us to the stage of Krishna Prema. Secondary names have the potency to neutralize your sins. Primary names, these are primary names, just like our Jaya Radha Madhava song. They're primary names. Krishna in his relationship with his devotees. Yasoda Nandana, he's the son of Nanda, so son of Yasoda. Nanda Suno, son of Nanda. Kamala, Nayana, he's lotus-eyed. Gopi, Chandra, he's the moon of the gopis. Beautiful painting. Radharani's being adorned and worshipped and singing music to her. What's her interest? Oh, I'm so special. No. She's interested in one thing. The moon of the gopis, Gopi Chandra. Vrindavanendra, the king of Vrindavan. Now these are names, but the names are form, and the form has pastimes with his loving devotees. So these names carry us to that position. Pranata Karuna, merciful to the surrendered souls. So we just have to become surrendered souls instead of rebellious souls. Small thing. And Krishna, I pray that my love for you in your many forms may greatly increase. So this is an appeal or a request. Narottam Das Thakur has some writing, and I haven't been able to find it again. Maybe you know where it is. He analyzes categories of prayer. One of them is a prayer request. Some is just glorification. So this is a specific request. Number 5, it says the first, where there's, may my love for you. I pray that my love for your many names, in your many forms, may greatly increase.
Bhatyam bhachakamityudeti bhavato nama swarupadvayam bhuvasmat parameva hanta kadunam tatrapi janimehe yastasmin dehitaparadana bhaktvani samanthat bhaved asyenedamupasisopi sadanandam bhudo madjati.
We'll see there's vacha, first word, and vachaka, the second word. And one of them is the object indicated by the sound, or the form of Krishna is vacha, And then the sound is the vachaka, the sound that represents that form. I'm not a linguistic person, but the little bit that I understand is language is a symbol. Just like this is a chair. And the sound chair and the object chair are different. I can't sit on the sound. But the sound is a symbol of something. So that's in cultures, they have different words or different language that represent something. And that something and the word are different. But in Sanskrit, and specifically with the absolute Krishna, the person and the sound, Krishna, same as his Padma Purana message, are the same. Oh, holy name, you are manifested in two forms. Doesn't have a numbering system in the word verse, but the Supreme Person described by the holy name, that's the object or the person, and the sound vibration of the holy name. Now we heard already the sound vibration of the holy name is also a person with feet and toes and tips of toes. But Krishna manifests in these two forms. We know that the second form is even more merciful than the first because although a person may commit many offenses to your first form, he will still plunge into an ocean of bliss by serving the second with his voice. There's a very nice teaching. We spent at our Festival of the Holy Name some time discussing a purport of a verse from Chaitanya Charitamrita, where Prabhupada explains nicely, beautifully, that to approach the holy name and get the full benefit of the holy name, we have to enter into the mood of service to the name. And when we enter into the mood of service to the name, the truths of Krishna become revealed. Which means, it's implied, ignorance is dispelled, knowledge that's there becomes awakened, and the knowledge of the truths of Krishna become revealed. So the doorway is service. And chanting is not repeating something Dravida said. It's not just making a sound or even meditating on a sound. That can be impersonal. It's the mood of service. It's a mood of service. Now, there's adjectives one can use. Humble service. Helpless. I'm drowning in this ocean of material existence. Please pick me up. There's a nice class Prabhupada expressed the chanting of the holy name. This is deepening our mood of bhakti through prayer. The Hare Krishna mantra is a prayer. Krishna, please accept me. That's all. Krishna, please accept me. Surrounding that please accept me is all kinds of details. But I'm in this place of darkness. This is a place of darkness. And metaphorically, I'm in darkness. I don't know, and I want to know. I want to be out of darkness. I want to be who I really am. I want to be with you. But I'm helpless. Please accept me. Means, please engage me in your service. It's a mood. Prayerful mood. And using the voice as a service, whether it's japa or kirtan or doing what we're doing now. It's, reciting, and then the same, the hearing of a sound vibration that's Rupa Goswami giving to us Lord Chaitanya's fullness of his mercy in the form of sound. Very special.
Surita Shadajanate Rashaye Rammichid Ghanasukha Swarupine Nama Gokalam Hotsavayate Krishna Purna Papashe Namo Namaha.
Oh, perfect and complete holy name of Lord Krishna. You are the embodiment of delightful and intense spiritual bliss. So where this is a Mahima statement, but it's also a relationship statement. In my association with you, this is my experience. Purna Shuddho Nityamukto. It's Rupa Goswami taking Padma Purana and putting it in poetry, with the mercy of Lord Chaitanya carrying him to that act. Perfect and complete. Purna Shuddho Nityamukto. You are the embodiment of delightful and intense spiritual bliss. This is what happens when the sound touches the receptive heart. Repeating something from earlier, you destroy the many sufferings of those who take shelter of you. Therefore, it's not just a sound or meditating a sound, it's taking shelter, and taking shelter means service to the name. And you are a festival of happiness for Gokula. In the mature stage, chanting of the holy name takes one into the realm of spiritual activity with Krishna. Very powerful, very effective. It takes some time to mature in the stages of chanting, but if one understands where it takes you, it gives impetus to want to go there. I bow before you again and again. And the last one?
Narada Vino Jivana Sadhomini Yasamaduri Pura Tvam Krishna Nama Kamam Spadameva Saneva Sena Sada.
Now, we saw this yesterday with Dravida's poetic rendering, and here's another translation. Oh, Krishna Nam. Oh, inspiration of Narada's Veena, because Narada's Veena transports him anywhere he wants to go. And Narada's Veena is not just an accompaniment to his singing. We heard Dravida repeat Bhaktivinoda Thakur's writing, Narada Muni Bhajai Veena. So his Veena is special. It's specialized, it's spiritualized by the holy name. Oh, inspiration of Narada's Veena, you are full of sweetness, which is like an ocean full of waves of nectar. Anandam Buddhivardhanam. If you wish, appeal. Please appear constantly on my tongue, along with transcendental affection for the Lord. Now, the Lord and his name are not different, but it's for the Lord, the form of Krishna, the name of Krishna, attraction, affection, because our affection goes to the temporary. That's the material consciousness. And how do we become free from affection for the temporary? By affection or attraction and awakening of knowledge of the eternal. This is the gift of the holy name. So these are the 8 verses. And kind of like a bonus here is another verse that Dravida cited yesterday, but now he's going to say the whole verse.
Tunde Tandavanirating Tunote Tundavali Labnaye Karna Kroda Kadambini Gatayate Karnabude Byakspiham Chetak Prangana Sangini Vijayate Sarvendriyanam Kutim No Jane Janitake Admidamitai Krishniti Varnadvai.
Some of you that were with us yesterday, you saw Dravida reach into his magic bag and pull out this little machine that had a tambura sound. David won't know about this, but I'll share it. Long ago, I had some service to visit the Miami Beach Temple. It was a tall building, many stories, with an elevator that would regularly break down. And early in the morning, I was just in the hall, and I heard this tambura sound coming from Davida's room. He does this for years. I don't know how much time each day, he can tell you if he wishes. Doing the same thing that we did last night. And it's love, not knowledge. It's a loving attraction. And there's, as we heard, there's sweetness, there's relish. So now let's hear, this is one of those verses. We didn't have the tambura playing, but here's Prabhupada's translation, straight from Chaitanya Charitamrita. Rupa Goswami wrote this verse. I do not know how much nectar the two syllables Krishna have produced. So, Mahima. When this now, subjectively, what happens? When the holy name of Krishna is chanted, it appears to dance within the mouth. We then desire many, many mouths. So that's the first part. You make the sound. And if you're on the platform of Rupa Goswami, there's so much nectar you want. Many, many mouths. And then, it's a nice meditation, by the way. I don't know if any of you have done this. I have a lot. Regularly. Concentrate on the sound vibration. This is prayer to deepen our bhakti. Prayerful mood. Make the sound, meditate on what Rupa Goswami is teaching us about that sound. Make the sound audibly, carefully, palpably. Concentrate on making the sound carefully. You have to be, your attention is required to monitor how carefully you're making the sound. And then the sound goes into the ear. When the name enters the holes of the ears, we desire many millions of ears. So focus on, after making the sound, hearing the sound, and then when the holy name dances in the courtyard of the heart, it conquers the activities of the mind, and therefore all the senses become inert. You know, the distracted mind becomes stunned. And when the distracted mind becomes stunned, the senses become inert. That's samadhi. That's Rupa Goswami's samadhi. And we're being invited by Rupa Goswami to deepen our bhakti in this beautiful prayer. When hearing this prayer, Ramananda Roy said, this isn't just glorification of the name, this is showers of nectar. Because he was a relisher of sound. It's a shower of nectar. And that nectar can enter the ear. And when the nectar enters the ear, the lotus of the heart blossoms. The Shreya Kairava Chandrika Vidharanam. Rupa Goswami explaining the teaching of Lord Chaitanya in poetry. So prayerfully we can chant and deepen our bhakti, and guided by how to prayerfully chant the name. Rupa Goswami is there holding our hand, ready to take us. We just have to want to go there. So end and see if there's some discussion. Who's going to run the microphone?
I got it right here.
Okay, you want to add something?
I just wanted to make clear to everybody, if you want this prayer with the original Sanskrit and the word by word so you can actually chant it and mean it, just get in touch with me. I'll leave it with the authorities here. I have it in a nice PDF format, not only this Namastaka, but the whole Stavamala. I have it in a nice PDF. I can give it to you. Whoa. So all of these things are available. It's not like it's, it's available to you. So I just want to let them know that. And many other things too, once you get going.
Thank you. He's a storehouse of nectar. And he's ready to share it liberally.
5 seconds more. I don't know exactly when you were there. I don't remember you coming down to Miami at that point, but I may have been making recordings, because I made a lot of recordings in that building when I was working with Gopi Paranadhana Prabhu and Vidyananda Maharaj on the Bhagavatam.
Yeah.
So there would be slack points in the production. I'm waiting for Gopi to give me this or Maharaj. So at that point I would record, and I have a lot of recordings. This I recorded, selection from Stavamala, the whole Bhagavad Gita, all of that I'll make available. There's no question of any payment. It's just you have to let me know.
Well, you left some things with the...
I used to make the CDs here. Yeah, the CDs. I don't know if they still have some. I don't want to cut into the sales, but I mean, we've done that in a few years.
Okay.
But anyway, it's a lot of stuff available.
And you're invited to make voluntary contribution to Dvita for his service like this. Yes. Srinath in the back.
Thank you, Guru Maharaj. It was very nice to hear like Sanskrit has a form, Sanskrit sound has a form. My question is, what essentially it means, like, when we hear like one form of Krishna is more merciful than the other form, like especially in this case, holy name.
I didn't follow your question. What happens when we say other names besides Krishna?
We always hear like one form of Krishna is more merciful than the other. Like if you see the slide about verse 6, there it is, written.
You want to know which form is more merciful, or why is one form more merciful than another form?
Yes, why it is said.
Why?
Like,
you want to know why?
Yeah.
Well, one reason why is Krishna can do whatever he wants. He's not bound by our logic and reason. What's important from the receiving of mercy side is our eagerness for the mercy. That's the limitation. It's not Krishna's holding back or something. The fullness of Krishna's mercy can come through any form. At the same time, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is the most merciful. Now, logically, why would we say Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is more merciful than Krishna when he's not different than Krishna? Because he exhibited what Krishna didn't exhibit, that is specifically Braja Prem, making it abundantly available to anybody, even unqualified people. Mahavadanyaya. So that's the form. Because his mission was to give not only Krishna Prema, but Braja Prema, most merciful. And other forms of Krishna that are Bhagavan, they have all bhagas in fullness, they don't have the same. There's 4 qualities of Krishna we know from Rupa Goswami's writings that Krishna alone has that the other expansions of Krishna don't have. There's more detail, but it's Krishna's there in his fullness, but he may not exhibit his fullness, and that's his prerogative. One worships Vishnu, one doesn't go to Goloka. one goes to Vaikuntha. Is that okay? It's Krishna's prerogative. That's where it's the starting point. So it's a little on the esoteric side. At the same time, it's the message of the Bhagavatam to help us understand the fullness of Swayam Bhagavan Krishna and why the Hare Krishna people have this special attraction for Krishna. We don't have some other attitude towards other forms, but we have some special attraction for Krishna and his name. And there's a reason why. It's right in the Bhagavatam. Okay? You're pausing. You're not satisfied.
What I thought was like, it might be because Lord Chaitanya, empowered like Rup Goswami to tell more like, about the holy name as he did.
So why did Lord Chaitanya give his fullness of mercy to Rupa Goswami? That's your question?
My question is how we can be offensive to a direct form of Krishna.
How do we do what? Okay, give him the microphone, please. Then you can answer the question, if you understand the question.
Maybe. He goes back to the 6th verse. Svachim vachakam. So how is it that we can be so offensive to the actual form, say the deity form, but still get the mercy of the holy name? In other words, it says that that's what the verse is about, right? Is that even though you make so many offenses against the form of your form, vacham, the vachakam, the word, the sound, will still bestow his mercy upon you. And what kept coming to my mind as you were discussing is that it's the accessibility. One is, first of all, the form of the Lord, say the deity form, is not always accessible. You have to be near a temple, and even then it's always sometimes closed and so forth. The holy name is always there for you. The holy name is completely accessible at any time. And as Lord Chaitanya says, he's invested all his potency in the holy name. So if you take shelter, even you commit offenses, but you're constantly taking shelter, then you'll become offenseless. You'll stop making offenses, and you still have that accessibility of the holy name. So in that sense, when you look at it objectively, the holy name is even more merciful because he's made himself, available to everyone. That's one of the reasons.
Now that I understand better what the question was, I'd like to add, that is, read chapter 3, Madhurya Kandambani, where Anartha Nivritti is discussed. And the name has the power to take away anarthas that are caused by seva aparad. Seva aparad has offenses. That's the aparad. So, therefore, those who are pujaris, or those that are worshipping from the floor of the temple, or either, chant the holy name. I mean, it doesn't mean, okay, now we have liberty to make offenses to the deity. But it's unavoidable because we're imperfect beings and unintentional, what to speak of even intentional, or lapses or something, then there's bound to be some offense. So what do you do about that? Seva Parad, you chant the holy name. Because the holy name has that potency. Therefore, even more merciful. And therefore, especially for this age, comes first is the holy name, then comes deity worship, not reverse. It's a potency of the holy name, invested. Overcome offenses come from Seva Aparad. We have a little more time. Anyone else?
Yes, Maharaj.
Yes.
How do you understand, how do you comprehend the holy nature?
Speak right into the microphone. It's not multi-directional. Hold it like this, like it's ice cream.
Like this? how do you comprehend the spiritual nature of the holy name?
How do we comprehend it?
How do you comprehend the spiritual nature of the holy name? For instance, in the example...
By mercy. That's how we comprehend it. There's teachings, but we can't understand the teachings unless the heart is clear or pure, and then we can understand. Otherwise, even the explanation is given, we won't understand. So how do we understand? By mercy. We continue to hear with faith, and then the cleansing takes place, and then we can understand.
So for instance, in the example which you have given, the chair is the word, but at the same time it also has a form.
Mike, I'm having a hard time hearing. Turn the volume up, Subal.
In the example you have given, the chair, for instance, you take the same example, the chair, though it is a word, we have a form in our mind. When I say chair, other person can understand what I am trying to say. Similarly, when you chant the holy name, since we hear the past tense, we may correlate with those past tense. So how that is different from my understanding of a material world like a chair, mic, or anything. So it is also formulating some kind of an image within the mind to say
it
that
slower. Is it what? Slower, please.
When you say a material word,
not the whole thing, just the last part. I think so. I'm a conditioned soul. I don't know about you.
Very much.
Conditioned souls have minds that have conceptions. Krishna teaches. The mind carries conceptions of life, like the air carries aroma, right? So I hear, even about the chair, what to speak of transcendence, with the mind. You know, through the ear, but it goes through the filter of the mind. And I hear selectively. Like science. It is known in the world of science. Two scientists will look at the same data, and they'll read this and they'll read that because the conceptions they have in the mind. So, what to do? You cleanse the mind. Now that's a nice idea. How do you cleanse the mind? You need an agent. Chaita, Darpana, Marjanam. Now, what if I don't believe it? Chant anyways. There's this really nice recording from Henry Street, Brooklyn, Prabhupada speaking on the Vyasa-san. I'm trying to respond to your question. In the beginning, Prabhupada saying that the Hare Krishna movement began just from the mantra. Didn't have anything. Didn't even have a drum. But people would not understand, or they would understand, or think they understood. They would like it, not like it. It was effective because he moved his hands. It created auspiciousness. It's not dependent upon the mind and the filters of the mind. It is all-powerful, and it cleanses the mind. It creates, his words, repeated it 5 times. It created auspiciousness. Now that auspiciousness is not the material, it's the spiritual kind of auspiciousness, because there's difference. And that spiritual auspiciousness cleanses the mind so that then, when one hears instructions or the glories of the name, I can understand it. Ignorance is removed. The covering that's within the mind, the karmatma kayena sharira bandha, the coloration of the mind becomes removed, and then it's a pure mind, a clean mind. And I'm not going to understand the chair properly or Krishna properly if the mind is not. So what's properly? You know, that's a nice question. That's an absolute dictum. It comes from the descending fashion. Besides my cultural or notional conceptions of transcendence or chairs. You know, the transcendental picture is Bhumirapo naloba yukamano bhutireva cha. Ahankara. There's 8. That's what this is. Now in this configuration we gave it a name. Before it was something else, later it's going to be something else, and now it's a chair. But here's what it is. Here's what Krishna's picture is. So I can use the chair I can use it in material consciousness. I can use it in Krishna's service. So so you're back to your question, how to understand the glories of the holy name. It takes a purified mind. We need the agent. The creating of auspiciousness, in Prabhupada's words. The cleansing of the mind. That's the first part of Lord Chaitanya's teaching about how to chant the holy name. It's a glory. Cheto darpana marjanam. The mind becomes cleansed. It's a good starting point, isn't it? If I want to understand the glories of something, if I want to understand transcendence, a good place to start is chanting the holy name, even if I don't understand what it is. They may understand, they may not understand, it creates auspiciousness. And that's how it began. And then came many other things. You're pausing. Are you okay? Oh, okay, great. Whew. Any other? From ladies' side, anything? Okay. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Some announcements, Sundari Radha? You have anything?
Hare Krishna, everyone. We're going to have breakfast. We're going to have breakfast downstairs. I just wanted to go over the schedule really quickly so everybody knows. There are schedules posted around the temple room, and it's also sent to all of you electronically. But our next session after breakfast, so you have breakfast at 9, which will be served downstairs, and there is also a break. So you have a break till 10 o'clock. And we're hoping that everyone will come back at 10 o'clock for a Sangha. We'll be explaining what Sangha groups are, which is like kind of a new feature in our retreat. So we're hoping everyone will come back. I'm guilty of this, and I know a lot of us are. When we look through the schedule, we're like, hey, Kirtan, oh, break. Class, maybe an extra break over here. But we added breaks for all of you, so we hope that everyone attends every session, and then you also get a break. We understand it is tiring to go through a whole day. So as soon as this connects, we have 10 o'clock Sangha, 11 o'clock with Dravida Prabhu, and then a service hour at 12, followed by lunch. So if you can't see that, it's on the schedules outside. A couple of housekeeping announcements. The parking in the back behind the temple with the chairs, that is for the pujaris, because when they come in the early morning, it's hard for them to find parking otherwhere. So if you please can keep the chairs there and not move them, that would be really helpful. There is parking for all of us in places like on Lunt Avenue, on Greenleaf, and there's a temple lot just behind on Greenleaf and Clark. So that's available. And for children, I don't see many of them here yet, so I'll make this announcement again later. We do have programs going on in the Spanish room downstairs, which is the room just at the feet of the stairs, down that way, right below the Prasadam Hall. So yes, that's all I have for right now. I'm hoping next time the PowerPoint works, but wish me luck. Okay, see you all soon. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna devotees. Someone left this cell phone in the Pujari room.
In the Pujari room.
So, if anyone is missing, please see Sundari Radha. No Pujari room. Sorry. In the restaurant on the 3rd floor, so it's a man. It's a good man.